Good afternoon, everyone. It's me, Ari Does it. So, hold on, let me take this off. It's me, Ari Does it. I'm here with another live stream. Just call me a sheet, that's perfectly fine. I'm putting some juice. Maybe a bottle over here. Just one moment. Oh, shit. I have to clean it up. But anyway, thanks for being here with another live. I know this live's going to take me that long. But in this live stream, I want to address the mandate of heaven. Hold on. And I want to emphasize why. I want to emphasize why this mandate of heaven was established in ancient times. So we're going through some history lesson over here. Yep, let me store this one over here. Sorry, made a little mess over here, but I don't mind. So, before I continue, can you please let me know if you can hear me clearly, please? Very important. Hold on. All right, that is good. So, okay. That's done, but let me know if you can hear me clearly, please. Very important. All right, that's good. Okay, you can hear me clearly. I'm quite glad for that. So, okay. You can also see me clearly. That's also important. Let me bring this away. So, again, as mentioned before, it's going to be a bit of a history class in this live stream. So already got the pages ready here to go through. I'm going to put this over here. So, okay, one question for you. How many of you have heard of the mandate of heaven before? Let me know in the live chat. Okay, if you're here in the live chat, let me know. Have you heard of the mandate of heaven before? Let me know. All right. Yeah, the fan is working. By the way, there's a lot of sunlight out here, which is good, but it may mess up a little bit with my view, so that's why I close the curtains. But let me know, how many of you heard of the mandate of heaven before? Let me know in the live chat. I'm about to share the screen anyway over here and go through some history with you. I'm also going to show some maps. I'm going to give some anthropological explanations also. So it's always going to come. But first, let me know, have you heard of the mandate of heaven before you saw this title? Okay. Roscoe said never heard of it. Dr. Lino said she doesn't believe she has. Okay. So let me share the screen now with you. Oh, and by the way, soon my groceries will arrive, so I may have to pause the live stream for 2 or 3 minutes soon when my groceries arrive, but they'll be then. Let me share the screen now. And screen share. Okay. You can all see the screen over here. Am I correct? Let me know. Can you see the screen? Let me know. Can you see my screen over here? I want to check for certain so I don't speak and show you things that you're not seeing. Can you see the screen? I want to check whether the StreamYard is working properly. Okay, you can see the screen. Okay. Our history has been shaped by the ancient Greeks. Now, one thing I want you to understand about the ancient Greeks. The ancient Greeks did not see themselves as Greeks. I mean, okay, let me go to one of the maps over here. By the way, this was the Greek Empire they established. Today, scholars call it the Macedonian Empire, due to political reasons, but it used to be called the Greek Empire. In one of my old Dutch Bibles, they called it the Greek Empire, because it was the Greek Empire, because the Greek culture spread all over the earth. But the Greeks had Sparta, Athens, they had Byzantium, they had Epirus, they had Roma. Rome was a mixed Greek colony, by the way. So the Greeks had various city-states, and each city was like its own nation. So people from Athens would say we're Athenians, we're not Spartans. Spartans would say we're Spartan people, we're not Athenians. People from Rome say we're Romans, we're not Imperial people, we're not Athenians, we're not Thessalonians. You see what I mean? So ancient Greeks, they did not see themselves as one nation. And the ancient Greeks were obsessed with fighting. Warfare was something they were obsessed with. Eventually, they realized, you know what? With the Medo-Persian Empire in place, we are going to lose if we keep on fighting. So they began to unite and became, in a political sense, that they became more philosophical. And when it comes to economy, they kind of harmonized themselves. Later, one of the ancient Greek states called Macedonia or Macedonia became dominant, and Philip II of Macedonia took over Greece, became king of Greece, and eventually his what they call son history, but we know that Alexander Macedonian was a Nephilim. Alexander took over the throne and he established what you see the Greek Empire. So he went on the campaigns here and there. When he was around here, around Syria, you had Hebrews from Judea invited him to be their king. You had Egyptians, whose pharaoh has been missing for a while, wanting Alexander to be the new pharaoh. So Alexander was kind of invited around here. All pharaohs like to fight a lot, and as you can see, he established many cities all over the place. You also had Greek colonies also, all over the Black Sea, also other places in Europe, you have Greek colonies also. Rome used to be a Greek colony too, where you had other mixed people living. So here's the issue with the Greek Empire. The Greek Empire was quite big, as you can see. Alexander did not take over India, but later the Greeks had the dominant influence over India anyway. And look at this. The Greek Empire did not include literal territory in the west of Europe. Why? Because the ancient Greek economy was already dominant across the Mediterranean and the west of Europe. So the Greek Empire had a direct jurisdiction, you see over here, but it had an indirect jurisdiction all across Europe. Okay? And Asia was populated, but Asia was not that enormous populated like it is today. And in Asia, people lived in strategic places. So the Greek Empire dominated the whole world. They had one problem, however. The Greeks still didn't see themselves as one people. And the Greek Empire was meant to cement them as one people. So Alexander of Macedonia, who we know is Apollo, he established a common Greek culture. He took the common traits amongst the Greeks and established them worldwide. The purpose was Hellenization. Hellenization comes down to make the world more Greek, standardize the Greek language, Greek customs, Greek currency, became a standard worldwide. So now everyone within this jurisdiction had to learn Greek and the native language. Well, if you were an Egyptian, you would learn the Kemetic language anyway, but now you also had to learn Greek in order to operate in the world. So Greek became the spoken language of the world back then. Greek gods were introduced everywhere, Greek currency. But here's the issue. Alexander of Macedonia died prematurely, and the empire was divided in multiple pieces. For example, they say the empire was divided in four. Well, you had four generals that divided the empire. But you also had other areas of the empire, because remember what I said, here over here you don't see Italy being under the jurisdiction of the Greek Empire. That is because Italy was already overruled economically, financially by the Greek Empire. That's why over here, the Roman Republic, which governed Italy, it was still part of the Greek world, but it was a separate part of it. So the Greek Empire still existed. Greek was still the norm worldwide, but they had no central government. You had four major jurisdictions. You had also Rome over here being dominant in the West. So it was kind of a mess. But the Greek Empire was successful is that it made Greek the norm. So what happens is that you had the world culture established, which was Greek. And worldwide, the leaders of the world confronted this Greek culture. It doesn't mean that every population willfully submit to it. For example, Judea had a lot of migrants that left Judea the moment the Greek Empire was established. They thought, we're not going to be along with this. Half of the Judeans said, we're okay with Alexander being our new king. It's something new. Others saying, no, we don't want this culture of old grown Greek men with little boys being over here, where they eat pork and all of that. So a big portion of Judeans fled Ethiopia. The others went towards the Nigeria Delta, and they became the West Africans and the Congo people later on, of which I'm descended also. So, but this was not what the video is about. What I'm pointing out is that the Greek Empire ran the world, even in a fractured state. You also had the Parthian Empire that was established, which was also a Greek dynasty. You know what I mean? This turned to the Parthian Empire later on. So later the Greeks established themselves more towards the west. The Roman Republic took over Gaul, took over Hispania, took over parts of the Alpine region. So around 300 years after the death of Alexander of Macedonia, he died in 323. Around 200 years later, in 27 BC, you had the establishment of the Roman Empire by this guy over here, Gaius Octavius. He established the Roman Empire with the title Princeps, means the first in order, the primary man. Now, what happened was that the Greek world here, which was fractured, was extended towards the west, but it was divided into yet the Parthian Empire over here that remains as successor of this Seleucid empire over here, and yet the Roman Republic being reformed to an empire around here. But here's the issue. Long before the Roman Empire was established as the new center of the world's politics and the world's economy, in Asia you already had another a division being established called the Han Dynasty. It was established in 202 BC. So let's get this straight. Alexander Macedonian died in 323 BC. 202 BC. That is 121 years later, you had the Han Dynasty being established. And the Han Dynasty consists out of several kingdoms and some colonies here and there. You still have the Chinese kingdoms here and there, but they were all overshadowed by an emperor. The emperor is a king who has his own little kingdom, but he also oversees other kingdoms. This is what the emperor is. All right? So in 200 BC, there's 2 years of establishment of the Han Dynasty. This was the situation in the world. Let me just see if I can increase it. Here you have the Roman Republic. As you can see over here, within 121 years, the Roman Republic increased itself. And hold on, where is it? To become this big over here, containing parts of Spain. Yet the Seleucid Empire breaking apart in various tiny parts over here. But the Minoan Empire continued. As you can see, the Greek world became more dominant in the west. And in the east, you had the Mauryan Empire in India. And you also had the Han Dynasty. Here you had small kingdoms here and there. And you had Korean chiefdoms and kingdoms over here also. And in Japan, you had various tiny kingdoms over there, but they were very insignificant. The world's politics back then. And you had those Greek kingdoms were established in Central Asia. So you also had Greek kingdoms established all over the place. So the Han Dynasty was established to have a more functional administration of the East. Not all the Eastern kingdoms joined the Han Dynasty. There were many who didn't, like the Jin Kingdom, the Gojoseon Kingdom, the chiefdoms over here, the Japanese kingdoms over here did not join. So it's many in mainland China that established this Han Dynasty. And that's why the name China comes from. China means the country in the middle, or the center the center of the world. So that was the beginning of China. This became the dominant financial economic administration in the East. Well, in the West here, little by little, the economic center went from Alexandria over here, which was in Egypt, towards Rome. So by the years by the time Christ was born, the situation was quite different already. Okay, let me see if I can find it. It was the Han Dynasty. You can check it out for yourself. You can see some of the local Chinese kingdoms over there. As you can see over here. And I'm just pointing this little history to you because I'm going towards the minute of heaven very soon. Just don't worry, I'm coming towards it. I'm sitting here, let's see. One BC, let's see if I can. Yeah, is this a map over here? Yes, it's a map in 1 AD. Around the time our Roman calendar begins, this was the situation in the world. So you had the Roman Empire, which ran the world. You had other Greek-centered kingdoms around here. You had small kingdoms here and there, but you had the Han Dynasty being the main one in the east, and Rome in the west. And the Parthian kingdom was kind of like an extension of Rome, but they operated by themselves. You had small kingdoms in between. There's some African dynasties also. In the West Hemisphere, you have smaller kingdoms over here and an empire here in the south. So, what you need to understand here is that, oh, and by the way, you had, Japan was not a unit, but yet one of the kingdoms called Nara being dominant over the rest. That's what you had over here in Japan. Korea had several kingdoms here and there. And the Han Dynasty of China was being dominant over it. Okay, now I got to all that history. The mandate of heaven. Okay, let's go to it. It was open somewhere. Okay, let me say mandate of heaven. Okay. Here it says the following. Okay, I'm going to read for you. The mandate of heaven, or Tianming or Qingming, it literally means heaven's will, is a Chinese political philosophy that was used in ancient and imperial China to legitimize the rule of the king or emperor of China. According to this doctrine, heaven, which embodies the natural order and will of the universe, bestows the mandate on a just ruler of China, the son of heaven. If a ruler was overthrown, this was interpreted as an indication that the ruler was unworthy and has lost the mandate. It was also a common belief that natural disasters such as famine and floods were divine retributions, bearing signs of heaven's displeasure with the ruler. So there would often be revolts following major disasters as the people saw these calamities as signs that the mandate of heaven had been withdrawn. The mandate of heaven does not require a legitimate ruler to be of noble birth, depending instead on how well a person can rule. Chinese dynasties, such as the Han and the Ming, were founded by men of common origins. They were seen as having succeeded because they had gained the mandate of heaven. Retaining the mandate is contingent on the just and able performance of the rulers and their heirs. Okay? In tradition to the concept of the mandate of heaven is the right of rebellion against an unjust ruler. The mandate of heaven was often invoked by philosophers and scholars in China as a way to curtail the abuse of power by the ruler in a system that had few other checks. Chinese historians interpret a successful revolt as evidence that heaven had withdrawn its mandate from the ruler. Throughout Chinese history, times of poverty and natural disasters were often taken as signs that heaven considered the incumbent ruler unjust and thus in need of replacement. The concept of the man in heaven also extends to the ruler's family having divine rights and was first used to support the rule of kings of the Shang dynasty, to legitimize their overthrow of earlier Shang dynasty. It was used throughout the history of China to legitimize the successful overthrow and installation of new emperors, including non-Han Chinese dynasties such as the Qing dynasty, or Qing dynasty, because the Manchu dynasty that ruled China from 1636 to 1912. Okay, so I just want to go with this briefly with you. And okay, let me just stop the screen sharing for a moment, because I don't need that for now. All right. So we went through a little bit of history over and gave you an overview of what was going on. One thing I want you to understand is that in ancient times, it was quite important for societies to have a motivation, to continue. That was the main thing in ancient times. Now, before the Greek Empire, the main motivation was to survive, because you don't want another community to come and take you over. But the Greek philosophers understood you cannot have a world where everyone is only based on survival and have it to be peaceful. The world works best if people are integrated. So you need a world culture to integrate people in. So you need a world culture, you need a currency for the whole world, and you need a common language everyone can understand. And with the language comes the culture. So the ancient Greek philosophers understood we need to have established a world culture that's Greek, that's inclusive of the religions of the rest of the world, including other customs. We have to harmonize the world in a Hellenistic way. In Asia, however, they already had one way to keep each other in check. This was called the man of heaven. It's not certain which king came up with this, because the man of heaven is a philosophy that predates the Han dynasty. Because China used to be run by local kingdoms, here and there, often competing with one another. And the public back then in ancient Asia understood the following. As a community, it is on you as a community to face reality. If you have a king, which is the central figure to the community, and this king is incompetent, that means this king lost his right to be king over you. You shouldn't listen nor obey this man, because this man has shown with his behavior that he's incompetent and therefore is not worthy of your obedience. So the moment you have a king and the king is not competent enough to deal with the issues of the community, you should start with the replacement process. If he has a brother, let the brother take over the throne. If he has a son, let the son take over the throne earlier. Or if there's another relative, let him take over. Oh, by the way, if there's another guy, a guy who's not even of noble origin, but he's more capable than the king himself, let him become the new king and have a new royal family. So, rulership was bound to the competence of the ruler. And the public kept an eye on the consequences on the ruler. Now, of course, you would have natural disasters happen, like a flood, or sometimes you had a famine because of drought, or you would have earthquakes. Such things would happen, okay? It's not the natural disasters themselves because people think, oh, this guy shouldn't be here. It's the way the leader dealt with those natural disasters. Let's say there was an earthquake and some of the villages collapsed. If the leader had no financial economic plan in place to be ahead of the earthquake, and later earthquake happens and now there's incompetence in rebuilding the economy, then we will say, listen, this earthquake came, but this earthquake revealed that the leader is incompetent in dealing with difficulties. So this guy needs to go. Or let's say there was a flood that happened. Flooding, there was a tsunami somewhere. If the leader did not motivate the public to mourn and processes, to grieve their losses and to see hope for the future, he will be seen as incompetent and he had to go. So that's what the man in heaven comes down to. It doesn't literally mean that holy angelic beings in the heavens are deciding who has the right to decide on the earth. That's not what it's about. Because heaven is symbolized as the place of perfect order. So if we are on earth, so if we want things to be, if we want heaven to be reflected on earth, things to be in perfect order and perfect harmony, then we cannot allow incompetent people to have influence over us. If you want heaven to be reflected on the earth, if you want life on earth to reflect the peace and joy that you have in heaven, then you cannot allow nor be okay with incompetent and neglectful people to be in charge. That's one thing the Asians in the East understood. Now, in the West that was shaped by the ancient Greeks was more based on competition and diplomacy. So there, this mandate of heaven did not exist. That was your competence in suppressing rebellion or resistance that proves you had the right to be there. So if you were the king of, let's say that if you were the king of Armenia, for example, back then, your ability to shut people's mouths and to keep your dominance there was proof you were worthy to be there. You could be incompetent, neglectful, and cruel, whatever, but the fact that you were there and people could not get rid of you easily showed you had the right to be there. So your might of the people justified you being there. In Asia, this not as okay. We as a community can go against the mighties above us anytime by revolting. So if we get along with someone turning to a tyrant, it's us doing it to ourselves. We can't blame anyone else for it but ourselves. Now, when the Greek Empire was established, this autocratic viewpoint that the Greeks had and this collective responsibility that the Asians had, it did not go well that smoothly. That's why eventually the Asians had their own Apollonian administration, which was the Han Dynasty. And Asia was quite far away anyway, so it was more practical to have their own regional administration over there. They did adopt Greek culture in many ways, but they did not take over this autocratic justification that the Greeks had. And even amongst the Greeks, if you were too incompetent, you would face revolts. But here's the thing, the mixed Greek people in Roma, which we call Rome, they had this incompetent king at some point, and they thought this is horrible. They said, you know what, let's turn into this thing called the Republic. We have no king. Instead of a central figure, we have a class of wealthy noblemen who regulate things together. And each year, you have 2 men selected to lead the area. The consul primus, consul secundus. So the first consul and second consul. Similar to what we have, the president and vice president. That's where you get the system from. Now, the Roman Republic was not stable because there was no central figure that people can identify with. And especially if you're in a big area, you need to have a central figure to identify with. As an anthropologist, I can tell you, a population will not identify nor get along with something they perceive as distant and impersonal. So that if you have a bunch of men, let's say, for example, okay, let me go to, wait, I'm typing Italy. Let me use this map for a moment. It's not Google Maps, but okay. Oh yeah, let me share the screen, my bad. Share screen. Okay. Okay, let's say now this is Rome, okay, Roma. Forget about the modern day boundaries, all of that. Let's go back to ancient times. Let me see if I can remove these labels over here. Let's see if that's an option. No, it's not an option, never mind. Let's say there's Rome over here, okay? And you lived in, let's say, here in the north, in the Alpine region. What's called Gallia Cisalpina. Gallia, this side of the Alps. Okay, that's how this was called. From traveling from Rome all the way to this place would take about 3 to 4 days. Yeah, you use horses back then. Or if you lived in Genoa, near the coast, you could take a ship. Catch maybe just 1 day. Maybe, or 2 days. Anyway, it took like 4 to 5 days to be here. You can still identify with a city all the way down here. But even then, who are you identifying with? Each year, you have 2 other guys running the place. Let's say in January, they select 2 men, okay, 2 consuls. They have to govern the Italian peninsula as a republic, okay? Let's say you guys in the north, you have issues with the water supply. And you also have issues with some of the foreigners from above coming in all the time. Now, one of the consuls will deal with the internal affairs, the other ones with external affairs. Okay? But now, by August, there's an agreement with there's an agreement already with one of the kings here in the north, away from the Republic. But then, by November, there are elections again, and then by the next January, a year later, there are other consuls. They go in another direction. See how it goes? It was not a stable system, and it's very hard for people to identify with someone who's only there briefly. And especially in the Roman Republic, they had to extend all the way to Spain, later North Africa, all of that, or they took over Gaul over here. It became quite hard to maintain. Okay? But the idea of the Republic of the Romans was, listen, we don't have a central leader that may get out of hand. So we want people to keep things in check. There was a little more in harmony with the merit of heaven in the east, but not fully. With the Roman Empire came the idea, we don't have a king, we have an overseer over all these other kingdoms over here, which is the Caesar, or Augustus, or the Caesar over us. So he's the prime man we all need to follow. That's the principate, which is a continuation of patriarchy, which was a male-only rule that the Greeks held on to. So eventually, the Greeks in the West learned from the people in the East that this whole autocratic justification cannot work. There needs to be a balance of competence. So in the Roman Empire, you had the emperor, you had the Senate keeping him in check, checking his competence here and there. And the Republic was abolished because they admit the Republic does not work. Human beings need kingship. That's even biblical. All right? They even installed client kingdoms here and there because they realized kingship is a natural need of human beings. So I want to explain that history first towards you, so you would understand where I'm coming from with this. It was the Roman Empire, see how big it became. Understand the following, and this was wrote around 200 AD. Okay, but understand the following over here. In ancient times, they understood. Okay, let me shut down the screen sharing over here. In ancient times, they understood that eventually the population is to blame when they face hardship after hardship and nothing's done about hardship. Now, in the West, under Rome, it became the emperor is the supervisor and the primary man we all follow, and the senators keep him in check on our behalf. That was what was on the Rome. In the East, under the Han Dynasty, and also the other Asian establishments, it was like this. You as a population, not the politicians. In Rome, it were the senators. But in the East, it's not the politicians in the capital, like with Rome. It's you, the population, that bears responsibility to examine the times you're living in. And when it happens that an administration proved to be incompetent because it wasn't quick enough or efficient enough or not just enough, they faced revolts and extermination, simple as that. And the people were behind it. If you were in ancient China and you would revolt against a local king, not against the emperor, but say you had a king somewhere in one of the kingdoms, and you said because you had the Chinese Empire that also consists out of autonomous kingdoms. Let's say you had one kingdom over there, and the king of that kingdom was horrible. If you would complain with the emperor had to overthrow that king and replace it with another king. Or if one of the locals revolt against that king and become the next king, the emperor would have to find a way to reconcile with it. I'm not saying it always happens. Why? Because they understood. When the public has enough, the public will not take it anymore. In Rome, eventually developed this thing called bread and circuses. Because the Romans still want to hold on this autocratic form of government, but they understood they can't get away with it too openly. So they have this thing called bread and circuses. They make sure there's a lot of entertainment for the public, sometimes even for free. And at the same time, they make sure there are collective farms where you can have sufficient food supply. So give them fresh water through the aqueducts, give them a guarantee of grain so they can have bread, and give them entertainment, and the people are at peace. That's one of the reasons why the Roman dominance remained so long, because they understood the psychology of the masses. If the masses suffer hunger, or if they are not distracted from daily problems, they will lose it. I don't think ancient China did not have mechanisms like that to distract the public. They did. But they were not as efficient as Rome was. That's why the Han Dynasty declined over time. And that is a big peak. They even had an enormous navy in Asia, and suddenly they all declined. With many revolts locally, and many criminals trying to take over the throne. Look, when the Han Dynasty was collapsing at the end of the 2nd century, the leaders in Japan, because Japan was just a collection of kingdoms here and there, you get me? But there were Japanese kings that came to the conclusion, listen, we needed to join forces with the king of Nara. The king of Nara is dominant over all of us anyway. We need to join forces with the king of Nara and find a solution for this. Because if the Chinese empire is collapsing and criminals are on the loose over there, soon as criminals can be on the loose over here too. And there was this witch back then that used witchcraft together with a young brother and sister, and they established Yamatai, or which later became Yamato. That's how Japan was unified. Japan was unified under witchcraft. And this witch being the witch empress of Japan. Amaterasu is a goddess that's derived from Himiko. That's how they called her. But it was still kings that agreed, okay, this woman's doing witchcraft, wants to be powerful, let's unite under her. At least we have a collective bond here. Ancients were practical. When things did not function, they had to make it they don't function. What do we do about it? Because if we don't do anything about it, it's going to be on us. The humiliation and embarrassment will be on us then. All right? Now, of course, the masses were fleeing. Of course, the masses were escaping. There's of all ages that the masses escape. But in the Asia, even though the masses wanted to escape, their parents and grandparents got to teach them, it's on us to make sure our communities are peaceful and we have competent people leading us. If the leader is competent, You owe him your loyalty and your obedience. If he's not competent, we need to look for another competent leader. In the West, it was the emperor is there to oversee you all, the Roman senators keep you in check, and the local kings make sure you guys bond together. Ancient people understood that you need to give direction to the public. And for there to be direction, the public must do its part too. They can't put it all on the politicians, or all on the businessmen, or all on the military. The public must participate in the stability of their own community. And for that to work, you need a common culture everyone identifies with. So you can't have people from Syria saying, oh, we worship this God over here. And people from Italy, well, we worship another God. No, you need to have the same Greek gods worshipped everywhere. And below the Greek gods, you can worship your own little gods too. That's how you compromise it. You can keep your own local religion as long as it's integrated into the universal religion of the Greeks. You follow me? And that universal religion of the Greeks, which became Roman, more sophisticated, that universal religion later took on a Christian mask. This is what we call Roman Catholicism today, just so you understand. And that's why the Catholic Church, till this day, is dominating all over the world, behind the scenes. Because they understand the masses need a direction, and for there to be direction, there must be a common culture people identify with. You can't have those separate cultures all over the place, people doing their own thing, and people get along. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen at all. So, before I continue now, do you understand the history I've explained and how the concept of the mandate of heaven evolved and how they adapted to it in the West eventually? Is this clear on to you? Let me know in the live chat, please. Let me know. Some of you may have come in later, you're going to watch the replay. For those who have been here, do you understand the history I've explained and how the mandate of heaven, this philosophy developed and how it affected even the Roman Empire? Is it clear on to you? Let me know. Hold on, let me check. Are you going to understand soon why I'm addressing this? You're going to understand it soon. So, understand this. The mandate of heaven is common sense. You as a population, you cannot just escape not facing anything around you and expect your community to function well. You have to do your part as an individual and as a community as a whole to remind your leaders, you're here for us. Without the population, you can't be a leader. So you as a leader, you need us. We need a leader as a population, and you as a leader, you need the population too. So we need one another. So it's not about you wearing that crown, getting everything you want, and it's not about us having our way all the time. We need to make this work together. So if you are not competent in leading us, you're gone. If we are out of check, you can use your left over us to keep us in check. It's a two-way street. And this two-way street, eventually, in the tyrannical West, in ancient times, they adopted it, realized it's quite smart to do it this way. So the mixed Greek people of Rome, because Rome was a mixed Greek colony. Okay, that's what it was. They developed Roman culture because they understood that the Greek culture that was established was quite harsh in your face. So they developed a Roman culture, which was a mixed Greek culture that was a bit more inclusive of the Celtic influences. And they also learned from the Asians that, you know what, the public needs to be involved. You can't just have a bunch of politicians, businessmen with the military bossing everyone around. Now, Rome remained autocratic, but they also understood you need the public's involvement in what you're doing. So they abolished the republic and they established an empire which had a type of kingship in it, because an emperor is a king that regulates other kingdoms. That's an empire. That's an emperor. They had an empire now with kingdoms within it, and that worked very well. The Roman Republic became a failure over time. The Roman Empire succeeded for a long time. In the West, it crashed eventually, but in the East, it continued for a long time. Look, a republic is where you have a bunch of businessmen bossing the people around, and the public has to go back and forth between the businessmen. That's what a republic is. There's no stability inherent in a republic. A republic has no leadership. A kingdom or empire has leadership ingrained in it. All right? So now, if ancients understood that the human species needs kingship, and that we need to have kingship, so both the Han Dynasty as well as the Roman Empire kept regional kings in place, or they installed new regional kings. Why did they do this? Because they understood it's a natural need for the human population to have kingship. Because we're designed to be led by the king himself, who's the Heavenly Father. So, if you're a pagan and you want to take advantage of the public, want to have a leadership of the public, you need to imitate the Heavenly Father, one way or the other. Now, if in ancient times it became clear that the republic was not a wise way to govern a population, why then did those British Freemasons in 1776 declare a republic called the United States of America? Why did they do it? Why did they do it? And those men were pagan. They understood history. The United States is modeled after the Roman Republic, not the Roman Empire. The United States of America is modeled after the Roman Republic. And even in ancient times, they realized the Roman Republic is a big failure. Let's get rid of this thing. And they got an empire. They had the facade of a republic, but it was already an empire because they understood republics don't work. The people need a strong man to lead them to bond with, especially if you're at such a big distance. So why did those British Freemasons establish a republic in 1776, knowing full well the republic was even abolished by the ancient Greeks? Well, it's very simple. They wanted a dysfunctional country where they could keep the leverage over the public, especially upon the enslaved black population. That's why. So the United States has been established on purpose to be dysfunctional so that the descendants of the slave owners could still have a leverage over the public. So the United States has no aristocracy because it's not a kingdom or an empire, but they have hidden autocrats behind the scenes. We're using the Republican form to have their way, to sway the public. That's what it has. That's why during elections, you have so many corporations and business people lobbying and donating money to the political parties. Why? Because in the republic, you have no leadership. You have businessmen basically fighting each other and swing the public. This is a republic. Okay? So, because there's no kingship over there, the public now is swayed back and forth. You follow me? So, if you don't know the history of the republic, you may think the republic is a modern way. We don't have kings. We're free over in America. It's not true. In Africa, you have the republics, which came forth out of the colonial jurisdictions from Europe. But you still have local kings governing. In Nigeria, you have the president of Nigeria, we still have local kings governing here and there. In India, you have a similar thing, even though the kings are a bit more in the background. Worldwide, they understand kingship is important for the human species. In the West, when they think, oh, we should alter republics, they instead want cultural kings, like the king of pop, king of R&B, king of rock and roll. So kingship is a need in us, just like the need for water or the need for food. It's a natural thing we all crave. Okay? Why do we need kings in music, kings in acting, kings in that? Because we need kingship. So if kingship is a natural need of all of us, why is kingship abolished in many areas in the West? Why are there so many republics if even in ancient times was proven the republic does not work? It is because it's a setup to keep the public dysfunctional, that's why. But they want to convince you through mainstream media that the republic is the best way, it's the most modern, most evolved way to do things. It's not true. It's not true at all. You're better off with a bad king or a bad emperor than with a republic. Simple as that. All right. What I want to explain this live to me is that the mandate of heaven reflects the common intelligence of ancient people. Ancient people were not stupid. They were not. Some people have this arrogance thinking, oh, us of the 20th century are far smarter than all the ancestors in the past. Not true. Ancient people were quite intelligent and they were smart. They were not technologically advanced like we are today. They were not. But they were quite intelligent and smart when it comes to social dynamics. They understood eventually you need to have a common culture which will motivate people to participate. Without the common culture to participate, you can't have a community functioning. And these are lessons from ancient people that we can learn from today. And guess what? Devil worshippers understand this. That's why they get away spreading the filthy propaganda. Simple as that. Amen. Let me see, my groceries are coming soon. So understand this. The mandate of heaven was a Chinese philosophy of ancient times and also influenced the rest of the world. Yes, the Greeks shaped the world with their Greek culture they established. But the Greek culture was also influenced by the people they wanted to influence. Because the Greeks realized, you know what, we don't have it all. There was still some humility over there. We don't have it all. We don't have all the answers. And you have believers today that just because they go to church, they think, I know it all. I don't have to learn anything from YouTube, whatever. Really? Why can't believers have a similar humble attitude as many people in ancient times? I don't think people in ancient times were good people of quality, all of them. No. There was a lot of wickedness and violence, especially sexual violence happening in ancient times. A lot of it. Scapegoating, absolutely. When it came to the realization that we need to keep ourselves in check as a community, they got it in ancient times. Later antiquity, especially. Early antiquity, it wasn't really there that much. Later antiquity, it was there. So if people of late antiquity understood that we have to involve ourselves as a community to make things work, why then today do you have this individual obsession, individualism, me, myself, and I, my life, I want, I will, I feel, I like, I dislike, I, me, myself, and I? Why do you have this obsession with self so much? In ancient times, people were selfish back then, they were narcissistic, but we wouldn't get away with this I attitude all the time. Not even the leaders would get away with that. Think about Caligula, which means little good. Caligula, which is a nickname, but that's what name he took as an emperor. He was actually executed because the public had enough of his abuse. And the senators shut him down. Because Caligula was embarrassing all of the Roman world. Caligula was embarrassing the world dominance of Rome. Caligula was a danger to the stability of the public. So eventually the public had enough and the senators understood we need to do something about this guy. Even the Praetorian Guard, which was the private police of emperor, had enough of him. Hold on. Can't go for you. Or this ambulance. God help whoever is in need. I just making it. So, my question is, how come we have so many people out there acting like Caligula, completely reckless and self-obsessed? And they say, it's my free will, it's my right to will whatever I will. And churches collaborate with this. You know how dumb it is? Look, Asians understood, especially Asians from late antiquity understood, we have to be in on our own long-term functioning as a community. People today don't want to hear this. You just want to hear, you know what, vote for that candidate, they will deal with it. Or you know what, just pray to God and it may work out. So people today have a worse attitude than the common individual in ancient times. Look, certain things have improved. Human rights, which came forth from the gospel and all of that, so certain things improved. But in other areas, we went backwards as a species. We don't even want to admit that it's our collective responsibility to make things work. Before I continue, it's all clear onto you. Let me know in the live chat. It's all clear. Let me see my groceries already here. Hold on. So, this brings me to the following. We as believers, we have to be present in the here and now. This church doctrine, going to heaven, unlearn this shit. You will never go to heaven because heaven is not built for you. You're built for the earth because you're an earthling. You're an Adamite, descendant of Adam. You're meant for the earth. When Jesus comes back, believers will resurrect an immortal physical body, will spend eternity on the earth as a paradise. You get me? Earth is our destination. Earth is our home, not heaven. You get me? Going to heaven is escapism that came from Catholic Church. Okay? Hold on. So understand the following here. Wait, let me just check one thing out. Yeah, my groceries are about to be delivered. But anyway, understand this. You need to be present in the here and now to make sure things work. If you're not into the here and now with your attitudes, you become neglectful. And that's what a lot of believers do. Okay, I'm going to give you a small parable, okay? Let's see, is guy coming? But if my bell rings, oh yes, rings now, just wait for one minute. I need to get my groceries, one moment. All right. Just so you see, I'm not bullshitting, I got my groceries right over here. I'm gonna put them over there soon. Okay, let me give you a parable very quickly. Let's say you go online, okay? And let's say you're a woman and you want to date. You go to an online, you're on a dating site. And you meet this guy, okay? And the guy seems cute, he's funny, this and that. You have a few dates with him. And the guy begins to come with stories as, you know what, I'm a very, very rich guy, but I'm in trouble right now. People are after me. Can you please help me? And you say, you know, let me help the guy. The guy is so cute, so funny, whatever. Then, long story short, you end up spending all your money on the guy. You're going to debt to help the guy. Then you figure out it was all a hoax. Then you found out I did this with many other women too. That's the story of the Tinder swindler. You can watch a documentary on Netflix if you want. Now, I've noticed that in the West, a lot of people got upset with this guy. But there were a few people asking, hold on a minute. How come this guy was able to sway a lot of these women like this? I mean, where was the common sense with these women? If this guy is a multi-millionaire or billionaire, if he's traveling the world and all of that, it means he has financial connections. Why is that you have to help him out financially, out of the blue? How come he's in danger and just go to the police, or why does he have his own private security then? Look, in the West, we have this guilt culture. You know what I mean? So people are trained to avoid guilt. Okay? In Asia, you have more of a shame culture where people are told to avoid shame. You know what I mean? This I would have worked if you were in Japan, for example. Let's say this happened in Japan. You have a few Japanese women that were swindled by this, I don't know, this guy from Malaysia or whatever. You know what I mean? The Japanese judge going to ask you, man, when you met this guy on the internet, you met him on a dating site where people often arrange hookups. So you already understood that the type of men over there will not be men of good quality. You knew that. Yes, Your Honor, I know that. Okay, so you took the risk to look for a man in a place where you likely won't find men of quality. I'm not saying there are no men of quality on Tinder, but often just want to hook up. So you took the risk of encountering a man of low quality, right? Yes, Your Honor. Okay, so if you knew you were on a website with men who like just want to get to your legs, and you saw this guy being so wealthy, so rich, posting pictures in expensive places, how come this man is still single? How come nobody of his community pushed a woman on him? Okay, that's one question. How come this guy, of all people, asked you to help him out financially if he is already that big financially? Yeah, but he was so cute, so sweet. No, lady. Scientifically, it doesn't add up. That should have been your red flag. And if he is a guy of such good quality, and he's financially established, why is he on Tinder of all places? He shouldn't even be on dating sites. He's the type of man who can get any woman, anytime, by just appearing somewhere. Or he can have people arranging dates for him. Why is he on a hookup app? You meet a guy on a hookup app who's so-called so rich, and you think, okay, why is this guy that's so rich on hookup app? And why is he asking me to help him out financially? The judge was saying, man, we can't absolve responsibility from the man that swindled you. He did wrong. He should have never swindled you and took advantage of you. He's wrong, absolutely. But you are wrong too for putting yourself in that situation. He said, but Your Honor, they say, oh, lady, hold on. If there's a pond somewhere in a jungle, if there's a pond over there with a lot of crocodiles swimming in it, are you going to jump in a pond full of crocodiles? Absolutely not, Your Honor. Okay. If someone decides to jump in a pond with crocodiles, and you know crocodiles are quite stupid, they even bite and eat one another. If crocodiles even bite and eat one another, they eat each other alive. What do you think the crocodiles will do with you when you jump in a pond full of crocodiles? Your Honor, I would never jump in a pond with crocodiles. Okay, if you're intelligent enough to understand you don't jump in a pond with crocodiles, why wouldn't you then use that same intelligence to realize you know what sexually this thing doesn't end up with this guy? Where was your due diligence? So why do you put yourself on an app where it's very unlikely you'll find a man of high quality? And now you expect high quality from a man that hasn't even proven high quality to you. Lady, he is wrong for doing that to you, but you're wrong for putting yourself in a position for it to be done unto you. It goes both ways. In Asia, they still have this mandate of having an influence of you as a community need to comply with your own well-being. Also, you as an individual, they will call out, why were you so dumb by just ignoring red flags? In the West, we say, no, it's the law, they're going to punch out for you. And especially if you're a woman, you're the big victim, we avenge you. In Asia, they hold on a minute, we don't care whether you're a woman or not. Where was your due diligence in preventing this bad situation? And understand, Western culture now is turned into, the culture you have in the West is a victim playing culture where everyone plays the victim. But nobody wants to admit, you know what, I could have done better. Or we as community should have done better. Please, saints, let us not get along with this victim playing culture. Okay? Let's be realistic and responsible with our communities, please. All right? Are there any questions about this topic? Please let me know in the live chat. Please let me know. I'm going to put these away and come back and see which questions there are. Okay. All right. Let me check if there are any questions over here. Okay, one question is, do you advise against using dating sites? Of course, not Tinder or Bumble. Look, I'm an anthropologist. Just for fun, I tried a lot of those dating sites. Not because I was dating, because I was not. Let me just try it out, see what how people respond on it. I tried Badoo, Tinder, I don't know, there were some other ones, I didn't even know which names they were. I deleted all those accounts very quickly. So I was thinking, what that type of crap is this? 60% of the accounts are fake, AI generated, so just so you know. And some of the accounts were pure female actually training, so dating apps, a lot of accounts are fake. And those who aren't fake accounts, there may be issues behind them, like criminality or people just want to flee. So if you want to use a dating app, I don't prevent you from using it. It can work for you to find someone, but I don't recommend it. Let me say that I don't recommend it at all. I'm not going to prohibit you from doing it, but I don't recommend it at all. Don't. Okay? If you want to meet someone abroad, there are other ways you can trigger to meet someone abroad. Okay? But if you want to meet someone locally, just go to the local supermarket, go to the library, go to whatever place there's locally, or there's a social place where you can find it. All right? Okay, Roxy, if you want, you can email me and we may talk about this on the phone. If you give me your cell phone number, you have WhatsApp or Telegram would be better. Maybe we can, if you want to talk about this in depth, individually, we can do that. I'll make time today when I'm cooking. But apart from that, everyone that wants to join my Telegram group, feel free to find the Telegram link and join, okay? Oh, you live in the United States. Oh my goodness, okay. Again, everyone that wants to join the Telegram group, feel free to join. There's a link somewhere in my Qt post to the Telegram group. Join it on Telegram. And if you want to talk individually, for example, about an issue like dating, you can join a Telegram group by using the Telegram app and contact me directly to Telegram. Or you can send me an email with your cell phone number and I will put your cell phone number in my phone and I'll check your Telegram or WhatsApp and I will call you. Anyway, if you send an email with your phone number, please put your country code, please. Because without your country code, the software will find you. Simple as that. Okay? So, Roxana, you're free to either email me your cell phone number with a country code, don't forget it, or just join the Telegram group on Telegram and message me to Telegram. Okay? Let me see if there are any other questions. Hold on, I used the wrong mouse. It should be this one over here. No, I didn't miss any questions. Well, anyway, thank you all for being here. Keep on agreeing with Christ, and I'll see you next time. Shalom. Be at peace.